This episode is brought to you by the PowerMonkey Training app. Now, out of all of the cool things that we do with PowerMonkey, whether that be our camps, or our retreats, or in-person events, the thing that I'm most excited about and our team is most excited about is our new PowerMonkey Training app. The new one will have a complete redesign and a lot of cool new features that you haven't been able to access yet. There's really 4 categories of training skills depending on who you are as an athlete. The first one is probably the one that you're most familiar with, are skill plans. How do you learn a strict pull-up, a handstand, a muscle-up? They're all assessment-based. We put you into the correct level according to what your starting point is, and you build plans from there. The couple new ones that we're really excited about, one is our volume plan. So volume plans will be based for those athletes that are learning capacity around skill-specific training. So if you're an athlete out there looking to take that one muscle up and build it into 3, 5, 10, 20, and beyond, we have a plan to help build capacity around skill-specific training. Very, very unique, very different, something that we're new offering, really excited about. Additionally, we have our GPP plan for gymnastics. We call it our monkey method plan. This is a well-rounded gymnastics plan that you can be accessing on a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. Beginner and intermediate are 3 days a week. Our advanced is up to 6 days a week. You'll be doing handstands, mobility, core work, bar, ring. It's a well-rounded plan around becoming more capable and confident around gymnastics movements. Our last types of plans will be our 365 plans, and these are bite-sized plans that can be incorporated into any training plan, starting with our core 365, something that's been in the app for a while, but a new feature is that we're going to be putting up one workout a day for free on the app. All you need to do is download and register, and you will get a free workout every single day that is core specific, between 5 and 10 minutes long, that you can incorporate into your training. It's a great starting point, and there'll be more of these 365 plans that help create a more well-rounded training experience. Come train with us with the PowerMonkey Training app. We think you guys are going to love it. Welcome to the PowerMonkey Podcast, where we chat with the best in the world about what they do. I'm your host, Dave Durante, with my co-host this week being Jordan Samuel, and our guest is James Sprague. James is one of the up-and-coming superstar athletes in the CrossFit space, having competed as a junior athlete multiple times at the CrossFit Games. Now moving up to the big boy division, James is still only 20 years old, but has a bright future ahead of himself. We talk about his recent performance at the Zelos Games, where he finished in 3rd place up on the podium, having won 2 of the 4 events, what some of that experience was like, a new competition format, some of the scoring was new and different, what that experience was like, as well as what it's now like training with the brute strength crew down in Florida under the tutelage of Matt Torres, being with one of his best friends, Dallin Pepper, as well as some other incredible athletes training in an environment like that. It was great to chat with James. He's an incredible athlete, very charismatic, very cool to be able to kind of delve a little bit deeper into some of his interests outside of just training and what this year is looking like in terms of upcoming events. We hope for the best for James, and we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Well, James, thanks for making the time to chat with me and Jordan today. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, dude, so good. Just big rest day vibes here, coming off a nice competition weekend, and just letting the body relax a little bit more until I get back into it.
So you mentioned just coming off a little round of golf. Who were you playing with?
Oh, yeah. That's, here in Florida where we're at, it's the most golf courses per capita, I think, in the U.S. It might be in the world, but I know for sure in the U.S. So it's pretty nuts. If you don't golf around here, you're kind of like secluded from everything.
Are you an avid golfer as it is, or you just feel like you got to fit in with the locals?
Oh, no, I love golf. I did it before I moved here oh, man, I've been doing it since 6th grade, so about 10 years now.
Oh, wow. All right. So
Yes,
you're really
sir.
into it.
Yes, sir.
What do you
And
shoot roughly?
What do I shoot? Today, so on the back 9, I had a 41. On the front 9, I had like a 46. So I'd say mid 40s, very average for me for a 9. And so when I rarely get an 18 in, I'll be like a 90.
And Jordan played collegiate golf, so he knows the ins and outs of this.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That's then I
Yeah, but
sucked
back
in
then
his
we
eyes.
were playing with actual wooden clubs. It was so long ago.
That's sick. And to this day they still play with wooden baseball bats.
It's no big deal. See that?
No biggie.
So
and you were
you're in Florida now, playing a lot of golf. Are you also playing a lot of pickleball? Because those 2 things in Naples, I understand, are
Yes.
So
pickleball.
Pickleball was I've been playing that for the last couple years now. I got really into it with my dad a couple years ago back in Idaho. And then everyone over here started playing. I was like, let's go. But they like doubles a lot. I'm a big singles guy.
Mhm.
But I'd say we play once or twice a week on average for sure.
So today's a rest day for you. A rest day
Yes.
is around 18. Anything else? You're gonna maybe some pickleball. What else you guys do on what is a so-called a rest day?
Ooh, so we've been really into this thing lately. It's called Catan. I don't know if y'all have played Catan, but
Never. I have no idea what that
it
is.
is. Oh, it's the best board game ever. So that's a board game, and so that's not physical. And then I'll train 2 to 3 groups of clients on Thursdays and Sundays, which so that's like I have my side company. It's called Next Gen Performance. I train clients online and in person, and so I guess coaching is kind of a strain because you're demonstrating movements, you're making sure people are doing things right. And it's a fitness class, so kind of moving with them. So that's kind of my form of active recovery as well. But otherwise I try and stay away from anything like gets my heart rate up too much.
Mm-hmm. Now, how old are you right now?
I am 20.
So 20, newly turned 20, like you turned 20
No,
this
I'm
year?
20 and a half in 3 days.
Oh, all right. 20 and a
Yes,
half
sir.
in 3
He's a
days.
wise 20.
Wise
Well,
20, yeah.
I'll take wise, sometimes wise. Trying to be more wise.
At what age do you stop like measuring when the half of the year happens? My daughter still does it at 5 years old. She's 5.5. She wants everybody to know. It seems like 20 and a half. You're still there. You're still young enough to
Yeah,
care.
I
That's
want to be 21. 21,
all
I'll
right.
stop. I'll
All
stop
right.
at
Fair
21.
enough.
But I think half birthdays are just kind of a fun thing. Like I think my mom used to make them really hyped up. Like she'd bring me like bagels with candles in them on my half birthday. So I just remember like weird little things growing up that the half birthday was sometimes a thing in my family. So I guess I still hold on to it.
Well, 20 and a half, coming up on 21. Big year for you in 2023. But, you're originally from Seattle area, right? Is that Snoqualmie
Yes, sir. Hey,
area?
you're one of the only people to say that correctly.
Oh, really? All right.
Yes.
I live in the Pacific Northwest, but I am not from here. So I am learning all that is Pacific Northwest. And
Where were you in the Pacific Northwest?
I'm in Portland. I'm in Portland.
Okay. My brother's in Newburgh, Oregon.
Okay. Yep. Sure.
Yes.
It's not that far away. It's wine country
Yeah.
over there.
Not
Yep.
bad.
Yeah. But, at 19, 20 years old, we've come across a huge group of your brute community, especially the youngins, the Emmas, the Dallins, yourself.
Yeah.
And you all seem to be so incredibly well adjusted and bright and capable. And I mean, at 19 years old, I mean, many of us were like on our way to college and like still a bunch of children in a lot of ways. You moved away. I mean, has it been helpful to be with other people around your same age who are going through something similar? How do you feel like you're able to kind of cope with such a big life change? Does it feel like it's kind of like a college experience for you?
Oh yeah, this is a great question. So college experience, no. I wouldn't say like that because I feel like the typical college experience is you go make a bunch of new friends. You go to parties, you go to all these classes, you have this tiny little dorm space usually. So this has been completely opposite. All these people that I moved here with, I knew them very well before. I feel like there's a couple people I've gotten to know a lot more, but I already feel like I knew them pretty well. I feel like the place I live, I'm very fortunate with. I get to live in a pretty nice place that's better than like a nice college dorm. I get to have like one roommate, which is kind of collegey. And I'm still in school right now, so I guess like half college experience, half not. But I'd say like for the most part, I don't think of it that way because I never really wanted the college experience for myself. It was never something I'm like, I have to have this to be successful. I have to do this to go have fun and move on. I was more like ready to get out of high school. I could have took off with my business if I wanted to, but I decided to kind of just keep that on the back burner and just go pursue this CrossFit thing full time.
And you said roommate. Is Dallin your roommate or who's your roommate right now?
Dude, funny you ask. So originally, and this is crazy to think about. I was gonna move to Utah before Florida. So I was gonna move to Utah, and this is before he married his wife Corinne. We were gonna get a place together, just go have a ton of fun and whatnot. And then the Florida opportunity came around, and Dallin got married. And so there's no way I'm living with a man and his wife. Just because I don't think the wife would like that too much, and I don't think Dallin would like that too much either. So my roommate, his name's Nate Ackerman. He won the games as in 2021 as a teenager.
You guys have like an endless amount of young talent.
Oh, it's
Just,
nuts.
I mean, Matt must be like giddy over there with the amount of potential that you guys are working with on a regular basis.
It's pretty dang cool to have all these people around you that inspire you. Like not one person here doesn't inspire me. So it's pretty freaking awesome.
Now, yeah, you had to postpone the podcast a little bit. We had to change the times a little bit today because you had something going on with your knee. Do you mind kind of letting us know what's going on with it? I have had endless amount of knee injuries in my careers and surgeries and repairs and reconstruction. So I'm always curious about what other people are going
For
through.
sure. So I basically have just been dealing with some tendonitis ever since I got a surgery about 4 years ago. And I've been able to manage it very well throughout the last 4 years, but it started becoming really unmanageable the last couple months. So just I got an MRI and I had a cyst under my knee, which has been growing. And it started just destroying my knee from the inside out. It was growing and growing and growing. And nothing like serious, like cancer wise or any of that. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was just like a big old cyst. And so they had to remove that. It wasn't surgical. It's just like with a needle, they popped it, drew it out, which is crazy. And then basically put some PRP in my knee just to help the stuff that's kind of been torn up. And yeah, I'm already feeling a lot better. It's been 3 days and it's going to be a lot easier to train without that thing in my knee now.
Jordan, have you ever had any knee shit like that?
No, my knees have always been pretty good. It's my shoulders that are absolute garbage.
Oh
I need
man,
to have replaced. So
I'm the opposite. My shoulders have always been prime time, knock on wood, but yeah, that's different.
So I
I'm
saw
there.
on
I'm there with you.
your you had some Instagram posts where you talked about various knee exercises that you do to rehabilitate your knees, and I'm curious to know what those are. But also, are those things that you continue to do well after your surgeries and so forth to keep your knees healthy? Is it something that is a regular staple in your training, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so obviously like an athlete can't perform if their body's not feeling good. So it's probably the number one priority in my training to make sure those things are taken care of. So in my warm-ups and cool downs, always knee accessory works included. Lots of glute activation and hip stuff because I think my hips have been weak and that's a big reason my knees have hurt. And then knee over toe stuff, you've probably heard of that. With the knee over toes guy. But mainly just like hip strengthening has been huge for keeping my knees healthy and them functioning properly and making sure like whenever I do get a flare up, it's just be smart about training. Like if I get a flare up, like right before a competition, I'm not going to keep pushing it right before the competition. I'm going to make sure like, hey, I go into the competition feeling good. Maybe I didn't get to touch all these movements that are at this competition because they would have hurt my knee if I tested them. But why don't we just go into the competition feeling good, let the knee come down, and maybe not test out those movements, but at least I'll feel good. So it's just kind of like a maturity thing, like knowing when to stop. I've learned a lot about that in my career of just, hey, when do you slow down? When do you actually say, hey, I'm going to listen to my body rather than listen to my ego? And so
Still
I think
learning
I've
that
done a lot
lesson.
better job of that, just understanding where's the threshold, when to stop. I think that's going to serve for a long, happy, successful career too, if you're able to do that.
Is that something that like, I mean, Dave mentioned it before where he was talking about all the different athletes that you guys have over there, the younger ones in particular that are just like cerebrally like on top of it. Is this something that you kind of picked up on your own, dealing with your own issues that you just had to kind of learn, or is this something that the coaches that you've worked with have been instilling upon you? Because that's a pretty mature thing to realize as a young athlete.
I'd say a lot of the hardships that I faced with my body have been because I haven't wanted to listen to myself when I knew it was right, what the right thing to do was, and I still did the wrong thing. And that's just kind of being a teenager in general, like not just with injuries. So I think that as a teenager, I showed myself what the wrong way was. And now that I'm kind of growing up, I'm like, hey, like you saw what the wrong way did to you, and you saw what it led to with your body, and how bad it hurt you, and how you couldn't even do squats some days and whatnot. So why not do it the right way now? And so Matt is always there to remind me, like, hey, dude, we're looking at the big picture here. We're not just looking at this year. We're looking at the next year and the years after that, and your 10 to 15-year career scheme we're looking at. So I try and keep that in mind. Like when I have a bad day, it's not gonna matter if I have to skip my set of squats. If going and doing that set of squats puts me back even further, then what am I doing with training? It's like listening is huge. So he's always here to remind me, like, hey, dude, big picture, long scheme, and everything's gonna be okay.
So with regards to Matt, I think it's a important thing to bring up. Just we had Matt on the podcast, we had Dallin, we had Danielle, we had a bunch of, we probably had Emma on before she was but before she was working with Brute, before she was working with you guys, and Fee has been with us, and we know some of the new crew. Matt just seems like similar to mentality to the way you guys are in terms of being very cerebral and approaching things in a way that allows for all of you guys to be individuals while training together. And it's one of the things that we've always questioned, this idea of, do super teams or a collection of athletes together, is that the best route to go in terms of growth? And I just really appreciated Matt's response, and also the response I've got from the athletes about how he approaches that and how he puts you guys into a situation on a daily basis where you guys can get the most out of the training, depending on what your individual needs are. Now, I know that requires much more on his part, but how has it been to work with Matt, and what do you recognize him as a coach is what stands out in terms of why you wanted to be a part of the Brute community?
So the first thing is Matt makes a personal connection with us. It's not just like him as a coach. It's him as a friend and him as a coach. So like Matt understands who we are as people. So he can coach us better. Per se, this is a really good thing that came up. Before semifinals, on my rest days, Matt understood that I need to get out and go do things and keep my brain busy and my mind active. And that's how I recover best. So Matt would encourage me to go do those things. Well, Dallin does best recovering in a dark room with no one around him watching movies. He would encourage Dallin to do those things. If we were doing the opposite, he'd say, why are you doing that? Because he understands us as people enough to know like how we recover and how we function. So that's like one thing I think about, is Matt just like understands us as human beings enough to know like what we need, why we need it, how much we need of it. He also understands our mindsets and how we think. I think a lot differently than Emma. Like we just have different mindsets in the gym. And it's both of ours work for us and how we get things done. And so he caters to what he knows about us in order to coach us better. Per se, some people just need more coaching in the gym. Some people need more time to talk to him. As for me, like I'm like, hey, I'll walk in the gym, ask him a few questions, get to work. So he just does a really good job of understanding who needs what, where he needs to be and why. And he does, like I said before, he does the best job, I think, of any coach of understanding the long-term picture. Because that is so undervalued, like as a coach, to be able to see how I can program for longevity and also success at the same time. Because you could get a coach that probably could get me a little higher this year than Matt could, but burn me out for the rest of my years. Like you could probably see that. I don't know if it's possible, but I bet there's some dude or some program out there that could maybe make me risk all my knee stuff, get some injuries, but maybe get farther this year, but then have a bunch of crappy years ahead. I know Matt is going to get me really far in each year and also take me a long way in my career. So to answer that question in a long answer, it's more just like he knows us, he wants longevity for us, and he also wants success for us now, and he combines all those things.
I mean, that's high praise. It's not an easy thing to do as a coach. In fact, when I noticed about my coach at Olympic Training Center, he was able to do that exact same thing. And basically he could read our minds. He took the time to get to know us at a level that understood who we were as people, what made us tick, what made us compete best, what made us train best. And it allowed us to all, while collectively being in the same gym at the same time, do what was necessary for us to maximize that time.
Yep.
Now, I always thought I was like, I have no ability to do this as a coach. Like, this is a skill. This is something that you either have or you don't have. Like, it's innate in you. And Matt seems to have it in spades. And I'm curious, in terms of that timeline that you talked about, peaking. You mentioned a potential career that's going to be in the next decade, 15 years plus. When do you envision kind of the peak starting to hit? When do you envision, you get to 25 and you're not on the podium yet, you start questioning whether or not this process is working.
Yeah.
When do you envision, things starting to fall in line with where you see your physical peak happening?
I envision myself having 2 years at the games before I'm on the podium. So I was hoping this year would be the first year. Narrowly missed out. Because I believe the first year at the games is a lot about experience and seeing, because the game is a completely different test than any test you're going to get at any fitness competition. There's no way to mock it. So I think getting a year of games under my belt to understand, hey, what am I actually preparing for, will be huge. Obviously, I want to go do well. And if that means like getting a top 10 my first year, great, let's do it. I do think that it takes more than a year. Like there's been rare instances, but I do think that it's going to take more than a year for myself to really like get on the podium. And I think that realistically, I could see myself doing it like my second or third year at the games. And after my third year at the games, if that hasn't happened, I have to take it back to the drawing board. And I can't ever blame my coach, because I know he's going to give me the tools to succeed. I know that he's all in. So it's going to be like, hey, what are areas in my life that I could be doing better at? Was I eating over my macros? Was I not tracking? Was I sacrificing sleep to talk with my girlfriend on the phone because we're long distance? What was I doing that could have been little things I could have changed? And so that type of thing is like that's going to determine how quick it happens. I also don't want to limit it to that 3 years either, because things could come up that like are I can't control. So I want to be on the podium and a games champion as soon as it's time in my journey. And I think that I'm working and taking all the right steps to do that as soon as possible right now.
I think that's a great answer. I think
Yeah,
Matt would
great
appreciate
answer.
that approach as well.
Do you
Yeah.
think that your couple of years as a teen athlete has really gives you a leg up on some of the other athletes that are kind of just making it to the games for the first time, right around, the same age as you, who did not have a teen career?
Not at all. I don't think the teens mattered, and I don't think that it taught me much about how to compete at the games. I'd say I learned a lot more about from like semifinals and doing the Zelos Games and the Can West Games and the LCQ. I learned more from those things about how to approach the games than I did being at the games as a teen. I think being at the games as a teen was more just about like fun for me. And it was like, I want to see how good I can do right now. And I wasn't really thinking about anything like I would nowadays, like strategizing completely based on my individual performance. So I wouldn't go into teenage games competitions and like have the best strategy for everything. And I wouldn't go into those competitions like cutthroat, wanting to kick my competitors' butts. It was more just like, oh, I'm here and having fun. Like I still want to win, but it was never like that. So I'd say the individual games is nothing like the teenage games in any sense. Volume and aggression and the toll it has on your body. But it still was very fun. Don't get me wrong. I think it's just two completely different things.
You mentioned in there about strategizing, and when you were at the teenage games, that wasn't even on your radar. When I watched you compete this last weekend at the Zelos Games, even just event one, it was very, very clear that you understood how to strategize the workout, and almost to the point where you had blinders on. You didn't even know what the other athletes next to you were doing. They could be sprinting, and the guy right next to you did full out sprint on the bike the first round, and he obviously blew up. But like it was like masterful to watch you go through that workout, slowly chipping away. That ability to strategize, is that also something that has come from Matt and your coaches, or is that something that you've picked up through your own experience?
Oh, it's all Matt. There will be time in that workout. Like I wanted to do something different. I wanted to blow up a little more on the first round of muscle ups, and then take the second round of muscle ups, go a little harder. But I listened to Matt, and we came up with a perfect strategy based on who I am and what my capacity is. And so Matt is like, the best part about having Matt as a coach is 99.9% of the time he will get my game plan exactly right for who I am. And for example, Fee, she's doing the Zelos Games, and Matt coached her a completely different way in that workout because we are just different athletes. So my strategy comes from Matt. And also understanding myself. Like, if Matt wasn't there and he couldn't tell me anything, I would think, what would Matt tell me to do?
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Was like, let's say you're in a workout where something starts to not go the way that you want, or you start feeling a little bit differently than you thought you would. Are you able to make on the fly changes without having, your coach there kind of calling those audibles for you?
100%. Yep. I feel like that's just athlete awareness. And that's honestly why I went to this competition to go compete. It was a really fun experience and super cool, but it didn't really like qualify me for anything. Besides if I get like a last chance Wadapalooza spot. I think they're doing that, which I might get that. But my whole goal to go into this competition was get more competition experience, because every time you step on the floor for an event, you're going to learn something huge that you're going to remember for the next event. If you're a good athlete, and you're going to remember how to apply that correctly. Here's a good example. I went to West Coast Classic in 2021. I got the most crucial legless rope climb no rep of my life on a thruster legless rope climb workout. I was going to get third in the workout, ended up getting 29th. So top performance to bottom, because I got a no rep. I took that consideration of how my arms felt and why I got a no rep, and took that into the next year at semis in this legless running shuttle run workout. And instead of blowing up in the very end and trying to go for the event win, I knew where my arms were at. I knew like how my arms were going to feel when I jumped up. I knew it was the exact same feeling I had in my arms the year before at semis. So I took an extra second to take a deep breath so I could get the rep. Barely got the rep, but I got it. End up taking second instead of trying to go for first and maybe falling off and dying. So that being said, competition experience, every time you compete, you're going to learn something that you can take in that next competition to know, even if it's like subconsciously, like my mind will tell me, hey, you felt your arms last year exactly like this and you failed. Maybe take a few extra seconds. And that's just what you get from competing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, that does come with time. I want to give the listeners a little bit of a rundown of what that first workout was, and also that you won that workout. It was a 3-minute interval of 26 cals on the Echo bike, followed by 14 dumbbell box step overs with 50-pound dumbbells into max rings muscle ups. And I believe the score was the total ring muscle up. Is that correct?
Correct. And it was the third round was a 4-minute interval.
4-minute interval on the last round. You ended up having 15 muscle ups on the first, 10 on the second, 14 on the third. So you ended up having a total of 39 muscle ups over the course of 12 minutes, which is pretty ridiculous.
What I think is most interesting and cool is that you were the last one off the bike on the first round. You were either the second to last or the last one off the bike on the second round, and you were only the second person off the bike on the final round.
Yeah.
And you won the whole workout by,
for sure.
I think in your heat, like the next closest was like 6 reps behind you or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is something I love about this kind of workout is I know in my heart, like, I am the best biker in this field that was all there. And so when people were beating me off, I was like, this is awesome, because like they're burning out and I'm just conserving energy. So knowing like Tudor and Tola going into the snatch, when they were like, oh, no one's hanging with us in this. Like, we know we're hitting 320 plus. In that kind of workout, I was like, oh, when people are beating me off the bike, like, I love this. They're overdoing it. They're trying to sell out way too quick. And so I encouraged guys. I was like, you should go hunt on the bike. Just see what happens. Like, awesome, go do it. Like, please, I want to show, like, that guy next to me. I loved Ethan. He's a great dude. I just like, I loved watching that, because I could only imagine how much pain that was going into the rest of the interval. That's some grit work is what I call that. But that it's freaking nuts. You just have to know exactly like what you're coming into the workout, where you can play your strengths, and where you have to really work. So I knew that my back step overs were fast too, and I have long legs, and I also knew that like if I went into the muscle ups with a low heart rate, even if I had the same time as per se Tudor on the muscle ups, I knew my heart rate would be lower going into that, so I could chip out more. Muscle ups for those listening that haven't done them under high heart rate, they are really hard when your heart rate's jacked. It's a breathing movement. When your heart rate's super jacked, it's hard to breathe through. So my goal is just go in and not really have to think about the breathing.
How tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". You move very well for someone that size on the gymnastics movements. Like to be able to see someone move and be able to complete 39 muscle ups in that time frame under fatigue is impressive. It takes a lot of, efficiency. And like you said, keeping the heart rate down, so you're able to do that on the movements prior that you felt confident on. But I want to talk a little more about the Zelos Games a little bit, but I'm just curious about gymnastics movements in general. Did you always feel confident with those, or was that something you really had to work on? Again, looks like a natural movement pattern, a lot of the stuff that you're doing. So you just kind of gifted in that sense. Is that something you had to work on, or was it just built in you?
Yeah, I'd say that all of it has not come easy. The only thing that's always been really easy is like chest to bar for me. That's the only thing. But ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, all that stuff, especially handstand push-ups, still much a work in progress. Those are definitely have been like my downfall in my career. Was the reason I missed the games this year was like, the handstand push-ups were super duper difficult in that workout at Syndicate. And then I'd say at any competition I've ever gone to, my handstand push-up has always been the lowest score. Most of the time, except like there's been like 1 or 2 instances out of like 10 competitions I've gone to with them. But most of the time it's always my lowest score. So those are still much a work in progress. And I hit those 3 times a week in some different variation of pressing and trying to get that plane strong.
Well, I mean, we could definitely help you out with that one.
Oh, please.
I love being able to help out with some handstand push-up work.
Please.
But man, I want to talk about this specific topic. We'll come back to Zelos Games in a minute, right? Because I still want to talk about some things that happened there. But when we were off the air, when we were getting on, when you mentioned handstand push-ups, it made me think of Fikowski, who we just had on the podcast not that long ago. He's actually similar height to you, similar issues when it comes to handstand push-ups. All the things that come along with having as long of limbs as you guys do. With those particular movements, you have the areas where you have strengths. But what you mentioned off the air was that you felt like the structure of the workouts and the games were moving in a direction that might benefit you guys. And you specifically even said that the games were a benefit in some ways. I'm curious, you were on the demo team, so you're able to test out the workouts and things like that. Did you really feel like your stature as someone that tall, long limbs would have been benefited by what Boz put out there this year? It seems so gymnastics heavy. And I'm curious what your perspective was in seeing those workouts for the first time. So many new skills that were on the gymnastics side.
Yeah, I think there's a couple movements in specific that were tougher per se for my body type. Like the wall facing handstand push-ups crushed me when on the demo team. Like I got through some of them in the workout. It wasn't much. But what I'm thinking is like the thing is like Jason and Roman both did so great that, and they're huge. And so in my opinion, like the tests where there was high gymnastics, like we still saw big guys do well in some of it. It's just a matter of my thought process is the big guys may have to work harder to get better at gymnastics, but it's not that they can't get good at it. It's that it's just going to take a lot more work. It's like Colton Mertens trying to get better at wall balls and biking and box step overs. He's going to have to work a lot harder. He's gotten pretty good at it because he works his butt off. So it's the same case scenario. Even if the games does move toward more gymnastics, the big guys can still prevail. It's just going to be as their training fitting that. Like I know here at Brute, we've been doing a lot of different gymnastic stuff to work at skills and doing a lot of stuff in the hollow position and just getting really, really freaking strong gymnastically. So like, is your training supporting doing well at the games? Like if the games are moving in the gymnastics direction, are you training for that? So that's kind of, I hope that answers your question. I think it can be a big guy favor.
Yeah, it does. And I'm curious, again, having seen those workouts and those new skills for the first time, which one excited you the most? Which one were you like, this is cool? Pirouetting in handstand, or going from the P-bar traverse, or the new handstand push-up. Was there one movement in 22 games that was like, oh shit, this is moving in a direction that I didn't expect. This is kind of cool.
I would say I expected most of these things to come out sometime. I didn't know when they would come out. But I did really like the P-bar traverse. I think that those are one of my favorite movements to do in the gym, just the dips, the matador dips or box dips or whatever, or strict ring dips. I love those. So that was pretty dang cool. I also, if you're asking my favorite workout, it was definitely the capital or the final. I like both of those. I got to test both of those, which were super duper fun, super hard workouts. And I also did like the back nine, where it was the strength test under fatigue. Like it was deadlift, heavy clean, heavy yoke, like just really hard, heavy stuff. I thought that was super duper cool. Not just throwing in a traditional 1 rep max barbell this year and just like, hey, athletes.
Did you get to try the sandbag ladder at all?
Not really. I was sick when they did that.
Intentionally sick, or are you?
I got COVID after the first day of testing. Because I literally pushed my body to an area it hasn't been before. I think we did a really, really, really good chunk of tests the first day. It was the hardest day of demoing, everyone said. And I got sick after, and then my body really couldn't handle anything for the next few days. And then I came back and was able to start demo stuff again.
So demo team stuff is another conversation, all the experience to go along with that. But yeah. I do want to go back to what's fresh in your mind with Zelos Games here. Okay. And one of the really cool things or interesting things, I'm curious from your perspective as having participated, was the new scoring system that Jared had put together there. Now, Jared Graybeal, founder of the event, he was actually a camper at our last Power Monkey camp too. So we got to hang out with Jared in the fall with us out in Tennessee. Got a chance to chat with him a little bit before the event and everything like that. But can you explain a little bit what the Z-score was and what your impression was in terms of how it was implemented?
Yeah, so the Z-score, I can explain this because I took statistics. So think about if anyone's ever seen a bell curve, it goes, and so basically the bell curve, you have a minimum and you have a maximum. The maximum, when referring to CrossFit, would be who had the highest score. So we'll use my muscle up event for an example. My 39 would be the maximum. Let's say the minimum was 20 reps, which I think it was in this competition. So we have a minimum and maximum, a difference of 19 reps. So let's say in the Z-score system, all the other athletes were halfway between 20 and 39. So that puts you right about 30 reps. If you're at 30 reps, you're getting 50 points because you're halfway between the minimum and the maximum. So that winner is always going to get 100 still. That hasn't changed. The loser is still going to get 0, which is usually the case at a competition unless people drop out, whatever. And so that being said, basically what happens is if you're in the middle of the event, it matters how close you finish the top of the winner of the entire event. So the Z-score system rewards consistency higher to the top, and it also hurts you for being lower to the bottom. So for example, my snatch, the lowest snatch was 255, the highest snatch was 320. My snatch on the other point scoring system would have been 35 to 40 points with a 272, which isn't a bad lift. It's not crazy high, but it's not a bad lift.
The PR, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What'd you say?
That was a PR, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. And then so in the Z-score system, since I was super low to the bottom of the 255, because the top was way up at 325, that really deducted a ton of points. I think I ended with 20 points in that because I was so close to the bottom. But in a regular scoring system, it would have just been like, hey, you took 9th out of 12th. Here's 35 to 40 points. But instead, you get 20 points because you didn't finish close to the top. So basically, don't have really bomb events and always try and finish close to the top or win events.
So this is actually really interesting in the sense that it encourages athletes to always perform to the bell rings, not
Yes,
not to win the event, but to maximize the win as
correct.
much as you possibly can.
Yep,
Is that kind
exactly.
of
And if you can maximize, if you know you're going into an event, this was my event I went into that event knowing I can seriously do some damage to this entire leaderboard. Sell your soul like nobody's around you. Like I was ahead by a minute there, but in the very end, and I knew that like, hey, every second that you win by is going to count instead of just, oh, let's just cruise to the finish. Like, how about like let's go win by a lot and screw over other people at the bottom.
Mhm.
So then the next closest guy got like 78 points, which is super duper cool. I personally do think the Z score is very cool. I think that it does need to be applied when more events happen at a competition.
Mhm.
Although 4 events was pretty well rounded, I think they did lack some stuff for a really, really well-rounded test. I would say like a light barbell and a pressing movement, overhead pressing movement, and then I would say like a monostructural piece, like a run or something like that. But I do think overall, super dang well-rounded for four different events.
Yeah, it was something that Jordan brought up prior when we were talking about it too. Jordan was mentioning, this could be something over a course of a longer weekend, more events. It
Yeah,
would help kind of separate people a little bit more. But
totally.
it's very interesting because I think when people think of CrossFitters, they think of being well-rounded across the board, right? The athletes that always finished, unless you're a Fraser, who's just an absolute animal, winning events left and right and still winning the competition. What you normally see is try to stay within the top 33%, stay within the top third in as many events as you possibly can, and that will slowly inch you up to the leaderboard. But this scoring system values specialty a little bit more. It values specialists, values the ability for someone to just crush someone in a particular event where you can take advantage. It's kind of saying specialists have more of a place rather than just being well-rounded across the board.
Totally. Yeah, it does say that. It does preach that. I mean, here's an example. I beat Tola in 3 out of 4 workouts. Since his snatch was so specialty, it made him win over me in the competition. And same with the funny thing is, Tola beat Tudor in no, let's see, did I have that right? Tola beat no. My only thing, mine was the only thing where I beat Tola in 3 workouts, but his snatch was a specialty. So the specialty does very much matter. You're very correct. Say we get a 4-minute miler in CrossFit, which probably will never happen as a CrossFitter. If they went and all ran a mile and everyone was a 5:10, 5:20, and that 4-minute miler's in there, that's going to really screw some stuff up.
You could have a situation that Dave was talking about before you got on the call where, Dave's not going to compete with you in 9 out of 10 things in CrossFit, but if you have that handstand hold event like you did in the open and he comes out and does a 9-minute handstand hold, the next closest person does a 2-minute, then he might actually end up, doing poorly on all the other stuff, but still placing it at the top of the leaderboard. So
totally.
I think it all comes down with that sort of a scoring structure. It is incredibly important that the programming be as well-rounded and, as diverse as possible in order to not have that hole. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. That's why I think if they're testing like a heavy lift, 1 max, they also need to come out. And what's the most opposite thing of a heavy lift? I'd argue it's a long monostructural piece, like a 5K run. That's what I would argue. So I think that it's just as important they test the 5K run as testing the 1 max snatch. Now, do I think the chipper was close enough to a 5K run? No, I thought that was still like a gymnastics under fatigue test, and it was a CrossFit style chipper. I'd say that's still like super aerobic, but that's also a separate thing. So I think they tested an anaerobic test with the barbell 579. They tested a aerobic test with that long chipper. They tested a gymnastics fatigue test with the muscle ups. And then they tested a pure 1 max. So then where is the super monostructural aerobic element to configure this to go with the snatch? The like vice versa, opposites of each other.
By the way, was that 579 workout? Was that the most painful workout of the weekend?
Oh yeah.
It looked terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. I just watched Fee do it this morning and she crushed that sucker. It's definitely a fun one.
Can you give the workout so everybody understands what it is? Break it down.
579. Now pay attention because this gets weird. So you do power clean first at 165, 115. Then you do bar facing burpees. Then you do thrusters. Then you do bar facing burpees. So there's 2 rounds of bar facing burpees each round. So you do 5, 7, 9. It'll be 21 total reps of barbell on each, and 42 total reps of burpees.
It's a lot.
Oh my God.
Just a sprint. Pretty hard to do 9 thrusters when you're already gassed at a heavy weight.
Yeah.
7-minute time cap.
Yeah.
Well, impressively though, like that was the only round on the thrusters that you broke up was the last one. I mean, the other
Yeah,
ones.
I think that workout, if you're like, my plan was not to break, but if you're forced to break, you're not gonna don't go to failure. That's the worst thing you could do. So like I was at 6 and like I don't know if I'm gonna stand up to 7th. I'm gonna drop it real quick and pick it back up. And like I said, like with my knee, I haven't been able to do much of the crazy fast squatting. So that was a win to be able to do that and not come off of that with crazy knee pain.
That's great. Overall, the whole
Yeah.
weekend, your knees felt okay at the end of the whole
Oh
weekend?
yeah, they were great.
Great.
Adrenaline's a beautiful thing.
And what was your overall impression of the weekend in of itself? New competition, new format, some new little pieces in there. Did you think it have the concept work? Did you think that it had a good fit within the rest of the way that the schedule plans out?
I think that Jared and Hiller and Kiefer need to run more competitions. I think they did such a good job. It was unparalleled. Like I can't compare it to anything I've ever done.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's really good to hear.
It was beautiful. Like those dudes, they have heart in it. They have the passion behind it. They want to see athletes succeed and they want to showcase them. And they also wanted it to be something that helps athletes get to do what they do by paying them out, which was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of athletes there too. Like they have full-time jobs, which is insane. And the only reason they were able to make it out is because it financially made sense. To take a couple of days off work and whatever. So they're bridging the gap that needs to be done. And then those dudes just are doing it for all the right reasons. So 11 out of 10 is my rating.
Oh.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really great to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure it'll be growing moving forward. So
Yes.
we'll see what happens next year. But leading into the next year now, in terms of your schedule, you're still young. I don't know how much that factors into, and you mentioned earlier the importance of getting competition under your belt for experience purposes. But what does that look like in terms of number of competitions? What are you planning on? I'm sure the Open isn't even a focus for you. It's more the assumption that you'll make it to the next level. You'll make it to the semi, you make it to quarters, you make it to semis. Maybe the Open isn't even a time for you to be prepared physically. But what do you have going on over the next few months to prepare for maybe the end goal of the games?
For sure. So Waza team. I'm doing a team with some great dudes. It'll be super fun.
Cole Sager and
And
Jason
then
Hopper, right?
yes, sir. So I'm the
Wait,
I'm
say
the
that again?
underdog.
Cole
I'm doing it
Sager
with
and
Cole
Jason
Sag
Hopper.
and Jason Hopper.
Oh wow.
We love Cole.
He's-
He is one of the nicest humans
Yes.
ever.
Oh, for real. I've gotten to learn a lot from him because so my dad lives in Idaho, right near his place in Spokane, Washington. And my girlfriend lives in Spokane, Washington, right near Cole. So every time I go to visit either of them, I get to go train with Cole, and it's super duper fun.
That's
He
awesome.
is he's one of my favorite dudes. But that being said, so go do Waza team. I think I'll be going to London for a little like strength and depth little team there with the Wit crew, which will be super fun. So that shouldn't be like too strenuous. I won't like train for that or anything. It'll just be like a go do it and have some fun. And then from there, no interruptions till the semifinals. So from basically end of January to semifinals, like train my ass off and get ready, and train through the quarterfinals too. Like obviously go do it, but I think I'm at the point now where the quarterfinals aren't as much of a worry. And now it's like, hey, just go perform, do your thing, get some experience in there, and then get ready for the semis, full blast. And yeah, that's kind of all that's on my radar right now. And I'm hoping to do Rogue or Dubai next year, just to do that and have some fun. So capping myself at 4 competitions next year, Waza being one of them, semis being the next, games being the next, and then one more after that.
That seems like a pretty good schedule. They're spaced out. It was funny when we had Fikowski on the other day. You know, the veteran coming towards the end of his career in the next few years. He was like, we had him on the podcast, and the next week he was leaving for Egypt for LFit. Then he was going in a couple of weeks out to Dubai for Dubai Fitness Championship. And then he
Yep.
was getting ready for Wadapalooza. So it was like November, Egypt, December, Dubai, January, Wadapalooza, Miami, and he lives up in Canada. I was like, dude, that's a hell of a lot of traveling all over the world in a 3-month period right before trying to get ready for the Open. He's like, I'm trying to see cool places. I'm
Yeah.
trying to meet new people. I'm trying to compete, maybe win some money. Seems like the strategy is maybe a little different when you're young gun versus maybe when you're a little older and have
For sure.
priorities maybe a little different.
Good for him, man. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I think that in order to win the games, one day, which is like the goal, that you have to have really solid training because training is where your foundation's built. And personally, I can't train when I'm competing too much or peaking for these things or doing whatever. So even for the Zelos games, I didn't really try and peak for it. It was more just like, hey, go out there and see where your training's been right now. And training's been going good because the Zelos went good. So that's just a sign the training's working.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, yeah, you mentioned being in school right now, and
Yes, sir.
you're still young. You mentioned not having a traditional collegiate experience and not be something that was kind of on your radar going through high school and things like that. But what are you studying, and is it something you really care about, or you feel like it's almost being used as a distraction, the needed distraction you need to be able to focus your energy on training?
I totally care about it. Just kidding.
All the parents watching, he was shaking his head. No, he doesn't give a shit about it
Oh
as he
my
was saying
gosh.
it.
Okay, so here's the thing with school. I feel like for whatever I want to do after CrossFit, that I will not need a degree. I'm doing school simply, and he'll hate to hear this, but my dad wants me to stay in school, and I understand why. And I get it. Because I think that in their day and age, school was the only way to have success. And I believe that whatever I do after CrossFit, whether it's the real estate or opening my own gym, or those are like the two main things I see myself doing, or being an athlete manager or one of those things. I don't believe that I'll need a full blown degree for that. But that's just my opinion. And I think that and that society is shifting away from needing a full blown degree, unless you're going into like the medical field or something, attorney or one of those things so I'm basically studying just general business. I am glad I'm doing it because I think that it's good to chip away no matter what. Like it'll be good to have a degree, and I know that my dad is right about that. But I also think I don't need it. So yeah, general business stuff. I'm doing some accounting, which is actually helping with my own business. So therefore, it's a plus because I get to learn how to help my own business. But it's super duper cool to just have something else to keep me working hard besides CrossFit right now because it is the off season, and off season you're not in the gym as much. So having just something else to work hard at has been super fun.
So I was listening to another podcast that you were on, and you talked a lot about self-belief in it and how important and necessary that was. Is this your self-belief in action that you don't need a degree to succeed and do what you want down the road? And it's really more of a joke, but like, can you talk about what it is you say to yourself when you're competing or getting ready to compete that falls into that self-belief bucket that you feel is so valuable?
Yeah, I mean, if you like just going back to what you said, like if you don't believe you can, you're not gonna. So like if I went in to any competition and didn't believe I was gonna get first, I'm not gonna do it. There's no one who ever won any competition or anything that was important that didn't believe they could. Um, and I stand by that. I really don't think anyone has ever gone and done anything extraordinary that requires a ton of hard work if they didn't believe. I think training hard allows you to believe in yourself. So when you get confidence PRs and training and you build all this threshold up, like you're giving yourself the right to believe in yourself. So if you're not working hard, you don't earn the right to believe in yourself. So go out and prove to yourself that you deserve it every day in anything that you do. Whether it's being a good cook, go just experiment and cook for yourself and make mistakes and learn from that. Or if you're trying to be the best doctor you can be, like, hey, like go into school every day saying you're going to be the best doctor. Like just tell yourself you can when you're working. Like positive affirmations go a long way. So yeah, with school, I think that I have talked to enough people that have done the things that I want to do and all of them have came back and said, I wish I didn't do school. I didn't need this. I wish I would have started sooner. But it would be totally different if I wanted to go be an accountant, or I wanted to go be something where it required school. So I hope that answers your question.
I say
Yeah.
one is I keep thinking the belief component is like, I believe that we will win. I
Dude,
believe that we will win.
yes.
And also it's you know, a little song for the World Cup. We got to give some love to Team USA that's going to be starting up at the World Cup this
Hey,
weekend,
hey.
and cheering for them. But it's also a little Ted Lasso in there. Me and Jordan are big fans of Ted Lasso, and he's got that belief poster right above his
Yup.
office door.
I feel
Gotta
like
believe. Gotta believe.
I feel like you know, you might be, James, a little bit of a Ted Lasso fan. He's got a little bit of a mustache going there.
Oh,
See
I
it barely.
see.
Do you
Very
watch the show?
cool.
Have you ever seen it before?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you
my
gotta
gosh,
watch it.
you gotta watch it.
Phenomenal
Okay.
show. Phenomenal show.
Keep it on
Great.
my radar.
Great show. Very uplifting, especially during COVID times when it came out. It
Mhm.
gave a little upbeat perspective everybody needed. But
Yes.
what you're mentioning there from the non-college route, or I agree with you in a lot of ways, in the sense that I think most people who end up getting a degree end up being in a space that actually doesn't even require the degree that they got. You know what I
Totally.
mean? Like, you're in a completely different space. Probably it's a pretty high percentage of people that are not using the degree that they got from college, but
For sure.
sounds a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk in there. I don't know if you're a fan of Gary V.
I've seen him.
But
Yes.
that's his whole thing, man. He's all about like trying to find what you love to do, find your passion, and let that become your career. And so
Yep.
as a kid at 19, 20 years old, for you to be able to have a path that you envision as one that you want to do for the rest of your life, that encompasses training and turn that into coaching, that turn into being an agent or opening up a gym, whatever it might be. It's awesome. Go for it. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
And you have the schooling to be able to do it on the side. But all the parents out there, especially older, who come from a different generation, parents, don't view James's perspective as not wanting to succeed. I think it's a totally
Not at
different
all.
mentality. It's a totally different route, saying I have a route that I envision here for success that maybe doesn't require the same path that previous
For sure.
generation took. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'm not encouraging to drop out. I'm encouraging, hey, if you realistically, your path doesn't require you to go take all these prerequisites and waste a ton of money and a university and whatnot, then hey, start your journey now. Like, go get started. Like, life is shorter than we think. Go do it now. Like, what's stopping you? So that was kind of the same thing. Like, with my CrossFit career, I was gonna go row in college for 4 years and do that. And I like, God bless, I got booted off the rowing team because my 2K time wasn't enough, and I wasn't good enough in the boat. And so basically I was trying to prolong my CrossFit career and say, hey, start later. But that made me realize, hey, why not start now? You may have to build a bunch of strength and do all this stuff and feel behind, but start now. It's going to pay off. And I'm so glad I did that.
I
How
love it,
old were
man.
you when you got booted
Yeah.
off the rowing team?
What'd you say?
How old were you when you got booted off the rowing team?
18.
So
I got accepted to be on it. Got all this gear with the team, whatnot. And then, the second thing you know, they had to kick a bunch of guys off because the boathouse and COVID, and they couldn't have guys in there. And, so it just like ended up being the situation where, I had to wait like a year and a half to either try out again and be back on it, or just move on and go start my career in CrossFit.
what is a 2K time that is not good enough?
I was 6:14.
All right.
Yeah, it was not good enough. So that's a 133.5 per 500.
Have you
You
tested your 2K
suck.
recently?
That's terrible.
I have not. I don't plan on doing it again because I don't think I need to for CrossFit.
I'm
For
sure
CrossFit
it's faster
purposes,
than
there's things I
614.
should invest my time into more, like handstand push-ups.
Yeah, there you go. Fair enough. I'm sure it's faster than 614 now anyway, so.
It would hurt. I don't want to do it until I'm on the games floor. Let's put it that way.
That's amazing, man. Well, you got a bright future ahead of yourself, and we're excited to see what happens next. Appreciate it being on the podcast today. We got a couple of last minute questions if you're up for them.
Yes, let's go.
Quick ones. First one, what sport or discipline do you prefer, weightlifting or gymnastics?
Weightlifting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We don't get too
so
many
sorry.
big guys not saying weightlifting,
Yeah.
but we don't have Mike or Chad on here today, so they can't rub it in my face. But we'll edit that part out. Thank you, Jordan.
Oh,
Let's edit
man.
that part out. Question two. Any guests that you think we should have on the podcast? Somebody you come across recently that might be a good interview for us.
You should have Nate Ackerman on the podcast. He's my roommate. He won the games as a 2021 teen, and he's a really funny kid.
Is he like on the other side of the room, like
He's
sending
like,
you
just say
notes?
my name. No, he's not. He's not. I just think you should invite him on. You would learn a lot about this kid, and he's gonna cause some ruckus at Waza. So when you
right.
see his name at that leaderboard in Elite, you'll be glad you interviewed him.
We'll keep an eye out for him.
Are you a reader, James? And if so, do you have any book recommendations for our listeners?
Ooh, yes, I've read a few books. I just kind of got into it this year.
Reading?
Yeah, I haven't been the biggest reader in my life, so I don't think I've read enough books to where I'm like, oh, that was life-changing. So I don't have any recommendations right now.
Fair enough. You have maybe a documentary or a television show that you like that you think everybody should watch that you you enjoy?
Sure. So I have a couple. First, I just watched The Notebook for the first time. It made me tear up. If y'all want to cry,
Hey,
you guys want a good tear?
It's a great
Want
movie.
a good cry session or a good love story? There you go. The
Hey,
Notebook.
Can I ask? I just want to set the stage. Was it you
Yes.
and Nate sitting together watching this?
Oh
movie?
my gosh. It was actually my lady told me I needed to watch it, so I watched it, and then I was alone, and I just was like, "Why'd you make me watch that? Like, what the heck?" And then let's see, documentaries. There's this one called the Froning document. Just kidding.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. Anything else? Man, I just love inspiring stories about people that do things that people thought weren't possible. So anything in that kind of vicinity is good to watch because it tells you can.
You've seen the movie Rudy, right?
Rudy. I feel like I have seen Rudy. It's been a
God,
while.
if you haven't seen Rudy, that is the one movie without question. Every single time I watch it, cannot help it. I will cry. And it's a sports movie. It's about.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
You gotta
It's
watch
great.
it, dude.
I'm on it.
It's amazing.
I'm on it. That sounds beautiful.
Recommended viewing for an athlete like yourself.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Do it. Well, we appreciate the time today, buddy. It was great to get to know you a little bit more, like we had with the rest of the Brood crew. Hopefully we can get you out to Power Monkey Camp sometime in the near future. We'd love to have you with us. Do you have any parting words or places where our listeners can come find you?
Oh man. Parting words would be just keep chasing what you love, because like I said, life is short, and you don't want to look back one day and regret not doing the things you wish you did. So no matter how hard it is to get into something, go try it. Go take that risk, take that jump, and you won't regret it 100% of the time. You're not going to regret it. And I'd say if anyone wants to find me, just go on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I love talking with new people. It's so fun to get to know this community, and just anyone in the fitness community or people just looking to better their lives in any way. Love chatting and getting to know y'all. So thank you so much, gents, for what'd you say?
What's your handle on IG? So everybody knows.
Sprague with 4 R's. So it's SPRAGUERRRR. And don't confuse that with the 3R or 5R Sprague. Those are my 2 old accounts that I don't post on anymore.
And 1 and 2 R's were already taken by other people.
Oh yes, the 5R one is an old account that I posted some silly 8th grade memories on, so you don't want to follow that.
Awesome, man.
I'll be putting that in the show notes.
Let's go.
Well, thanks a lot, James. We appreciate the time today, buddy.
Thank you,
Hopefully
gentlemen.
see you
That
soon.
was awesome.
Excellent. Well, to all the listeners out there, please head over to powermonkeyfitness.com for services and upcoming events. Check out our Instagram pages for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, at Jordan Samuel, and at Dave Durante. On behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your hosts. I'm Dave Durante with my co-host Jordan Samuel. And until next time, thank you all for listening.